Hi everyone, I'm Justin.
I'm Aaron.
And this is Aaron and Justin Talk Sequels, a podcast about movies.
Now, what is it called exactly? Aaron and Justin Talk Sequels, a movies podcast, right?
A movies podcast.
Because I remember a little while ago you said we didn't have movies in the title, and I agreed with you, and then I thought about it, and then I was like, wait, we do. It's after the colon. It's a subtitle. You're right.
Yeah. And today we are talking about, I can't wait till we have more listeners so we can piss off more people. But today we're talking about a modern classic. Do you agree? Where are you at with this movie?
Yeah, I just had a feeling you were going to say, today we're talking about a sequel that is better than the original. And that would just completely piss off a lot of purists of John Carpenter's work.
Oh, there's a lot of argument to be made that this is a better movie.
I think there's a lot of argument. I don't know if I'm going to say it seriously, but there's a lot of argument that makes me believe it. And that's almost sacrilege to people.
It is, because John Carpenter makes a good movie. He makes a good movie.
People will basically stand by any of his work pre-Escape from L.A. and probably fight you to the death if you said stuff wasn't as great as you thought it is, as you've been told it is.
Before we jump too much into the movies, let's see how complete we are on the John Carpenter filmography.
Well, this is our second time of tackling him after our infamous saga of the Halloween series.
Oh,
that's for sure.
We're not allowed back in the state of Pennsylvania after our Halloween series. It was that contested.
Pennsylvania?
I don't know, man.
I would have said Illinois. That's where the movie takes place, right?
Yeah, but it's not a real place.
No, it's not, but people know Haddonfield.
So John Carpenter always wanted to make a Western, and he kind of spent his career making a lot of really weird Westerns that aren't Westerns. So we start with Dark Star. Have you seen Dark Star? I have not. That's a hole for me. His first two are holes for me. Something I like about Carpenter is that his characters are always very, very human. Everything is always down to earth with him. You can always be in the shoes of the protagonist.
Well, his protagonists are always, and I mean always as in mostly, the everyman. There's always an everyman that is tasked with a duty or that finds himself in the middle of some shit that he's got to handle. And yeah, they're an easy protagonist to get on the side of.
All right, so next up is Assault on Precinct 13. I've also never seen it.
I saw that too. I like it.
And then we have Halloween.
Not one of my favorites, but that's just me.
We've talked about it. And then The Fog, another one I haven't seen. Okay, this is going to end up being where I haven't seen half.
The Fog I tried to watch, but I haven't made through it.
Is that the one where if you touch the fog, you don't let it touch you or it'll melt you or something?
No, I think it's, as I understand it, it's about a town that had a horrible secret that they killed all these people on a ship hundreds of years ago, and the fog has brought in the ghosts of those murdered. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. And then we have Escape from New York.
Which is great. It's a great film.
Fun little picture.
Yeah.
We'll probably mention it once or twice today.
It's a fun film, and it's a little dark and slow for my taste.
So let's recap it real quick. This is Escape from New York, which was made in 1981, is set in 1997. America is at war against Russia and China. The president is on his way to peace talks. His plane crashes in the prison island of New York.
Yeah, the plane is hijacked by some liberation front. From what I understand, is angry that America has made the island of Manhattan the country's prison, and the inhabitants on the island, they are saying should be released.
I think the concept here is that the president is Trump, and this is Trump's America.
I guess so. It's hard because Donald Pleasant's character of the president is such a weakling that it's hard for me to see him as a powerful president. He's almost like a Jimmy Carter president.
You think Trump is...
Oh, I think Trump talks a lot of shit, but he definitely has a presence that implies powerful and dangerous.
Anyway, like that's a nice way to frame this movie, is like, we're kind of looking at the end run. The fascists are kind of in power in Escape from New York.
Yeah.
But it's not all the way gone.
Okay, yeah, I could see it that way.
So what's the deal with Snake?
He's Eastwood's man with no name. So
yes!
They don't want him to have a lot of background, but they need some things in the past. So he apparently was a soldier. He was good at it, but for whatever reason, he doesn't like authority, and he has had to do illegal shit to get by.
They send in this renegade to go and save the president. He has 24 hours. They put a bomb in his neck. He gets in, saves the president, and he gets out, saves the day. It's awesome. They take the bomb out of his neck. The president, as a bargaining chip for Russia and China, have plans for, I think it was nuclear power or fusion power. Something that's really going to make the planet
nuclear fusion
a better place.
That's what they said. Yeah, they could help us stay out of World War.
Stay out of the World War, improve the lives for everybody.
And he had it on a cassette.
Yep, had it on a cassette tape.
And Snake was like, I'm not going to give you the cassette. And then he just destroyed it at the end of the movie, just as his FU to the fascist state and I guess the world.
Yeah.
And also, one quick mention about before he gets sent in, Lee Van Cleef.
Yes.
And he knows that Snake's the man for the job. Anybody else they've sent in has been murdered because they're just not good. But he knows Snake is the guy to get it done. So what better homage to Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns than to have Lee Van Cleef as the guy that sends the man with no name to do something, you know, because they were in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I thought it's pretty clear to me that that's what Carpenter was going for.
Yeah, and I think that was all a good idea because it works.
It all works. My issues with the film is that it's a little slow going, but that's also my issue with Halloween. Things definitely happen in Escape from New York, but it's just not as much of an action movie as people have made it out to be. I feel like it's more of just a dark fascist state film. And I guess when I watch it, I'm like, I could use a little more comedy.
Ernest Borgnine didn't do that for you?
It didn't really do it for me. I could use a little more. And that's why there's a sequel they made that kind of gives me what I was looking for.
What was the name of the bad guy in Escape from New York?
The Duke.
The Duke. I cannot hear the words the Duke. I can only hear them in Ernest Borgnine's voice.
The Duke?
Like, it's
you want to
so
see
hard.
The Duke? Played by Isaac Hayes, you know, chef from South Park, famously. Shaft singer. And he's fine, but he's not given that big of a role, I feel. He's always kind of in the background holding the gun, you know?
Yeah.
There's not really much to him, but he's just a badass. That's all.
It's a very simple story.
Also, what I think is super simple about the movie, and the same thing happens in Escape from L.A., they make Manhattan look like it's all of 1 mile long. Because everything is right by each other. Oh, he needs to go here. He's got to get back to the World Trade Center. 3 minutes later, he's right there. You know, it's pretty funny to me that everything is so tightly packed.
But with Carpenter, he is a really, is it economic storyteller? Like, he doesn't put too much extra fluff on anything.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Every scene has a point.
He's a functional filmmaker. But after Escape from New York, he made The Thing.
Which is amazing. Definitely, I think, his best film.
It's good. I have no arguments. Like, I'm a fan. And here's another couple blind spots for me. Christine.
I love Christine.
Which I know you've seen.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites of his.
Now, is Christine the one with just the car, or is it the one where all electronics are coming to life?
Just the car.
Okay.
Yeah. Stephen King also wrote Maximum Overdrive, which he directed.
Yes.
Based on his story, Trucks.
I'm going through this filmography and I'm a little disappointed in myself. I need to watch these
more.
ones that I'm missing.
I mean, I've read a big
classic.
book on Carpenter, so it made me actually sit down and watch those movies that I hadn't seen before. So that's why I've seen most of his films now.
Starman, I've also never seen.
Yeah, I've never seen it. That is one that I haven't tackled yet.
Well, we'll skip right on to Big Trouble in Little China.
I've seen that, although I saw it a long time ago, and I found it weird, but I hear it's fun.
I know. I've seen it, I own it, but I don't think I've watched it in a billion years. Now, what the fuck is Prince of Darkness?
It's another film with Donald Pleasance. He kind of made, I think they call it like an apocalyptic trilogy. So there's Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness, and then there was another film around there that was kind of dark and it had to do with the devil. And this is a bunch of researchers, and they try to like tap into the dark side or something like that. They find the devil at this church, or I don't know. I have seen it, and it's moody and kind of cool, but also slow and forgettable.
And then we get to my favorite of all of these, They Live.
Oh, you like They Live?
I love
that is a silly movie, man.
Oh,
but it does work. It's a fucking weird movie, but it does work.
It's just iconic. I loved Roddy Piper in it.
Yep.
Keith
David. They're
Keith
both
David
just
is
these
amazing in it.
weird meatheads.
They're homeless people. Like, those are the stars of his movie, are homeless people
Right.
noticing an alien invasion. And then In the Mouth of Madness.
I really liked In the Mouth of Madness just because Sam Neill is such a great actor.
Which one is this?
It's the one, there's like a writer that goes missing. It's like a Stephen King type kind of writer goes missing, and I think he has like an unfinished book, so they send Sam Neill after him to try to find him or find the book or something like that, and it takes a trip through insanity, in his mind or something.
I know I've seen it, but I do not remember it.
It's very atmospheric, and I do enjoy it quite a lot.
And then he did the Village of the Damned remake.
Awful. Just awful.
I haven't
That's
seen
probably
it.
his worst film.
Really?
It's just really dumb. But it is Christopher Reeve's last film, before his accident.
Oh. And then he made Escape from L.A., which we're going to talk about here more in a minute. And then we have Vampires. Where do you sit on Vampires?
It's one of his best films.
I fucking love it. Vampires is great.
It's great. James Woods, perfectly cast.
Yes!
Daniel Baldwin, he's really good in it.
James Woods is so good.
What's her name? Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks. I think you're like you talked about, like he's just very economical, and this was the time he got to actually make his Western. I think it's a very Western film.
It is a Western vampire, yeah.
You missed Memoirs of the Invisible Man.
Oh, I did, which I think is a good movie.
I think I remember seeing it in theaters, but Sam Neill's in it again, and I like Chevy Chase, and I like Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the movie didn't work.
No. He always said, I think Chevy Chase was a reason it didn't work. Like, Chevy had a very specific take on it, and it just was, they didn't have the same vision.
They're definitely, from what I read, it was definitely, Carpenter wanted him to be Chevy Chase. And Chevy was like, no, this is my leading man potential.
Something like that.
But
yeah.
Carpenter was like, yeah, but that's not what people are interested in. They don't want to see you as a dramatic actor. They want to see you be Chevy Chase.
And I could see John Carpenter saying that.
Yeah.
After Vampires, he makes Ghosts of Mars.
I think, about an hour into that. It's a tough one. It's a hard one to watch. Everybody's kind of miscast.
I don't mind it. What's his butt is not my favorite actor. Ice Cube is not my favorite actor.
And they said that a lot of people believe, although Carpenter never said this is true, that should have been Snake Plissken.
I believe that has been widely...
but I don't know if that's true or not.
No, it's not true.
But that could have been Escape from Earth that they talked about making after Escape from L.A.
And then his last movie, as of now, was the 2010 The Ward, which I never bothered with.
With Amber Heard.
Oh, that's funny.
From what I've read about it, I always overlooked it before. I never cared. But I found out it actually takes place in the 1960s, so that made me think, like, oh, it probably has an interesting look to it. But I hear it's better than people give it credit for.
It's not supposed to have a lot of his fingerprints on it. It's supposed to be, and again, I've never seen it, but it's supposed to be more of a cookie cutter, like 2000s horror. And everybody was like, what was the point?
Yeah, well, that's like the cover art and having her in it. It made me think it was just another one of those movies. Like, oh, you liked The Ring? Oh, you liked this and that? Here's another one of those. So I think that's why nobody kind of gave it too much mind. But he's also done a lot of TV, so it's like he kept busy.
Yeah, he's been doing some stuff.
But that's his last feature film as of now.
On John Carpenter's Wikipedia, they have almost an Excel sheet of his recurring collaborators and what movies they're in. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, he liked to work with the same people. And, when he made movies like Memoirs of an Invisible Man, the reason those were such horrible experiences is because those are the times when he wasn't allowed to work with the people he liked to work with. It was always, like, demanded by the studio, you have to do with this. And that's what taught him, if I'm not working with people I want to work with, I have a shitty experience. You can kind of pinpoint the movies he had a shitty experience on.
Well, I hope somebody gives him some money to make whatever he feels like.
I don't know, he's made a lot. And also he wrote a lot of scripts that other people made movies out of. He just came up with a lot of original material. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a little tapped out. It's all about timing and the time in their lives, like their age, their time, the budgets they were working with, and it was the 80s. And I really think that was it, late 70s, 80s. It was just a magical time to make those kind of movies that he made. But he just looked a little out of step when the 90s started to hit.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't changed.
I think I just enjoy Escape from LA a lot, but I don't know if I would necessarily say it's a great film or even a great John Carpenter film. It's just It's like a good Kurt Russell movie, action movie, I think is the way I think of it.
I always think about that span of sequels in 1990 that were all sequels from movies in the 70s that we've covered and talked about more than once, and how they were of a time, and they were made in a time that didn't match audience expectations. The Two Jakes, Godfather 3, and what was the third one? Oh, Texasville. And so they made all those movies in 1990, and none of them were... I mean, Godfather 3 was big just because of the title. They were 70s movies in the 90s. And Escape from L.A. is an 80s movie in the 90s.
Right.
And again, it tramples all over current audience expectations, even though it's still a great movie. Ish. It's really hard to call this a great movie, but I like it.
Maybe enough time hadn't passed. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe if he had made this movie around 2000 or later, maybe it would have been more well received. From what I understand, the producers behind it, or Paramount, thought this is a surefire thing. The cult of Escape from New York has risen significantly since it came out, and by the mid-90s, everybody loved Escape from New York and would hail it as a classic. So in their minds, it's a no-brainer. Like, this is going to make money. We're only going to spend $50 million on it. It's going to be great. And then it was a complete bomb. Did they just get it wrong? Was the cult not powerful enough? Or was everybody too cynical to give this one a shot?
This makes me think about another 90s movie that is not well liked, that I still think, if it was made in 1984, would have been a huge hit. And that would have been Blues Brothers 2000.
It was dog shit. And I don't know if putting that into a different decade would have ever saved it. Dog shit being my other favorite thing. You said hot garbage. I love that term when people say that's hot garbage. But I also like when people say that's dog shit, because that's one of the worst shits out there, right? I mean, when you get that on your foot because you're walking through a yard and you don't realize it, I mean, it is one of the worst. Like, if you stepped in cow manure, it wouldn't be that bad because, like, we all grew up around it. It's just the way it is, you know? But dog shit is awful.
Anyway, today we're talking Escape from L.A. So what has happened? So Escape from L.A.
takes place before the first even happened.
Which was released in 1996, takes place in 2013?
Yes.
Yes. And so almost directly after the events of the first movie, a earthquake destroys the West Coast like it was always promised. But we also have America slip completely into a religious fascist state.
This is what I really liked about the opening of the film. I'm not so hot on the, like, Jamie Lee Curtis narrated, come along with me as I tell you a quick story about what happened. You know, it's a little goofy. But I love the fact that there was just this crazy right-wing politician who just pontificated about this earthquake's going to come and separate the immoral filth that is LA from the rest of America so we can get back to being the great country we are. But the funny thing is that just by sheer luck, it happens. So, and not only do they vote him into office as president, but they changed the Constitution so he can be the permanent president. All of that, I loved that writing. Whoever came up with that, Carpenter, Russell, or Debra Hill, working on that together, I thought that was a great way to differentiate it. This is New York as a prison. It's America's prison, whereas LA is America's scum bucket. It's where we deport everyone who is an undesirable.
It's just very clear that everyone is an undesirable. You have to live. Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's where this leads, is everybody falls. Like, that's why you can't pick winners and losers.
Right. He meets a girl who's a Muslim. Like, just because her faith it didn't line up with the Christian value, that's why she's deported.
Is this the one where he just knocked off the Federal Reserve?
Yes.
This whole time, all this stuff is happening to the country. We still have Snake Plissken just traveling around doing what he felt like, and he robbed the Federal Reserve. I wonder if New York is still up and running.
But they said he was going to go to L.A.
Yeah.
So they don't call it a prison, but they kind of are treating it like it's the new New York. But I would have liked to hear what happened.
It would have been nice to check in.
It wouldn't surprise me if the new lifetime president's first order was to vaporize New York off the face of the map. Like, maybe they just blew it all up.
How did you like the detail that they had the snake be faded on his chest?
Yeah, I noticed that too. I think that was Carpenter making up for his mistake in the first movie, because whoever did that tattoo in the first movie looked like shit. You were reading into it like it's faded, like he's an old faded warrior.
Yeah. It's been
I don't
15
believe
years.
that,
Like,
though.
the tattoos fade.
15 years?
And yeah, mine are faded already.
You would get that faded? That was pretty dark. That was a pretty black snake.
My tattoos were black when they started.
All right. It just seemed like this tattoo had more detail to it, too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The other one just looked like someone took a Sharpie. And it was like, he showed up on set, and they're like, oh shit, the snake. Are we ready to go? Just 1 second. And then he just like Sharpied it on and was like, yeah, we're ready.
Do you think the tail goes all the way down his dick?
Totally. That's
And, like,
exactly
you
what
know,
that means.
To turn women on, he waves his dick around and he hisses.
Not only that, but
That's my rattler.
It's the
It's the
rattler. I
rattle.
was just going to say the rattler is tattooed on his cock. And he does the noise.
So he's
Whatever.
about to be deported right at the same time that the president's daughter steals her dad's secrets.
The black
and
box.
wants to give them to her boyfriend who she met. You know, like, this is
On
just one of
social
those
media.
classic stories of, yeah.
Yes.
You don't let kids on the internet. They will find South American insurrectionists.
Right.
And they will
be
start to
brainwashed by
fuck.
them. Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what another prescient thing about where the internet was so new then, but they still, like, that is absolutely what is going on today. You know, and they went into this whole backstory about her other sister committed suicide, and that's why she was depressed, and then she found some solace with this Che Guevara kind of revolutionary.
What is his name?
Cuervo Jones.
They do this with the Duke too, and it's so cynical, but it's so accurate, where they set themselves up as warlords in these places, and they're more into their own vanity and how they're special in their little area, and they just want to take more. Like, they're just like anyone else. Like, if the Duke, or if this guy had been successful and he led a revolution into America, he wouldn't have been a good president because he was just a little warlord.
Right. But he was definitely more proactive than the Duke ever was. The Duke just had this gift. This is what I'm confused about in Escape from New York. Is the Duke connected to that liberation army that hijacked Air Force One?
No, he wasn't at all.
So he didn't know this was happening. He didn't know any of this was happening. The president just happened to land his pod right in his territory. And that was the only reason he got this gift. And now he can use it to get out.
Yeah, and it's so basic and simple.
Which is great. But that's why I give credit to Cuervo Jones, because I think he's a great protagonist or a great antagonist as well, just because maybe even better than the Duke, because this guy has some sort of plan at least.
Well,
and he has designs on a bigger attack than the Duke ever did.
Yeah, it sounds like all of the world is about... Is it the world or is it just the third world? It just sounded like all of the Central and Southern America countries were just about to attack the United States.
It kind of seemed like anybody that was like Jones. So they had to have some sort of Hispanic, Mexican connection. It seemed like that was his people, and they were going to rise up. This is just how it sounded.
Yeah, he gets the daughter, and Snake just happens to be there right time. Mm-hmm. They give him the mission. They scratch his arm.
And now we got Stacy Keach, who's the new Van Cleef in this movie. And Keach is great. I love Stacy Keach.
Oh, that dude.
His
name is Stacy?
Yeah, Stacy Keach.
Yeah, I know him.
He's been in a lot of stuff. He worked with Carpenter in one of his TV things before this, so they knew each other. Yeah, so they sent him into L.A. in one of the worst CGI embarrassments in all of filmdom.
And we talked about this.
That submarine thing.
A little.
Oh, God. It really doesn't help the film.
I defended it, and then you quickly shot me down, and you can do it again on mic.
I don't even recall. What did I say, how bad it was?
My bar for CGI in the 90s is the terrible plane crash in Air Force One.
Yes.
Which is one of the worst looking things that I can remember.
Right.
And I felt like it looked better than that. But then you came back and said, well, Independence Day came out in 1996, and they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. You know why? It's all money. It all comes down to money. They just did not have enough money to realize Carpenter's vision. And honestly, I think he had too much visual effects needs in this film. If he had pared it down to more of the Escape from New York level, then I think they could have spent the money more appropriately and made the few things he needed, like the surfing and the submarine. I think he could have made that work. They were spread too thin, is what it seemed like to me.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. The reason I have a counter argument to your argument. Well, no, I think I said it then. The reason Independence Day looks so good is they leaned so heavily on models. So much of that is not CGI.
Well, it's models that are manipulated with CGI.
Yeah.
But because of their lack of money, They did everything with computers. And Carpenter is such a helicopter fan, and all of his movies are just helicopters everywhere. He loves helicopters. He even flies the helicopters you see on screen most of the time. Like, he just loves...
Really?
So why didn't he just say, let's get some real helicopters, and then you can CGI the background so it looks like there's an island, L.A., you know? Just do that much. But no, they said, no, we'll CGI everything. So then you have fake helicopters flying over a fake airbase with a fake background. Like, everything looked bad.
And it just doesn't work in 1996.
It's not enough to sink the movie for me, but it definitely doesn't help.
Is this movie, and I think I know what you're going to say, but I want to say it out loud. This movie has aspects of it that remind me of Mad Max and The Road Warrior, or Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
I was just going to say, it is definitely the Evil Dead 2 of John Carpenter's movies, because it takes the first movie, totally redoes it, but makes it more of a comedy, more of a satirical take on it.
Even though it's doing that, I really like that they are able to tweak it so that our expectations... Like, he does a good job of manipulating audience expectations while this movie is going on. Just the simple fact that they set it up the same, where they gave him a virus that is going to kill him in whatever many hours. Everybody's like, well, they did that already. And it's almost like, every time you think that, he's smiling and winking at you, like, oh, I did that already, all right. And that's why I know you're going to like this twist.
But there's not much twist, though. I think most things are just beat for beat.
I don't want to skip too far ahead, but they give him the same threat of, we gave you a virus that's going to kill you in a day, but it wasn't real.
But that didn't really matter. I don't know.
It was
because he thought it was
fun,
real.
though. Okay, yeah, fine. Anyway.
Oh, there's even a scene where he sits down in a chair when he goes to the pod in Escape from New York, and the president's not in there because he doesn't know where because he finds the guy who's wearing the tracer, but it's not the president. So he's just like, oh, fuck, well, now I don't know where the president is. He walks outside, he looks at the pod, president's not in there. He just picks a chair up and he sits down. And then Escape from L.A., he has that whole fight with Cuervo Jones, his people on the bikes, and then he finally gets away from there, and he walks to where Steve Buscemi's character is, and he finds a chair and he sits down. Like, everything is beat for beat the first movie, but it's just everything's got a little more comedy to it, and that's what I liked about the film.
I didn't catch that detail at all.
He just sits down. He just like the first movie. I just thought it was funny. Yeah, anyway. So he gets to LA on this horrible submarine ride because everything's flooded. But it's their chance to show LA flooded. Like, there's the Universal Studios is underwater and stuff like that. Like, it's just pretty weird.
This is the one piece of the movie where I don't like it. I don't like that he's in this movie.
Peter Fonda?
Peter Fonda.
Yeah, he's a little weird. Fonda's always been this ex-hippie. But he's never struck me as a hippie. He always struck me as an old man pretending to be a hippie.
You know what he strikes me as is somebody that would be a good friend with John fucking Carpenter. Like, that's what I see Peter Fonda as.
I can see that too.
So he meets him, and what happens?
Yeah, he's just a surfer.
Yeah, he's just a surfer.
It's like Peter Fonda made, or was in, help me out, the movie from the 60s.
Easy Rider?
He was in Easy Rider. For some reason, everybody's treated him like he has to be that character for the rest of his life. It didn't do him any favors in this movie.
No.
But anyway, whatever. He's just there. He's just there to surf. Who cares?
So instead of the cabbie, we have Steve Buscemi.
Who has a great name. Map of the Stars Eddie. He's still doing a star tour of Hollywood, even though Hollywood's destroyed and the entertainment industry is no longer. I just find that kind of funny.
It was fine.
You ever see Wizard of Oz? No? Well, this is where Judy Garland used to live,
Like, it felt like Carpenter went to Buscemi and was just like, hey, so you're a real slime ball, and so I want you to be a real slime ball in this.
Well, it's 96, right? So they're coming off of these hit movies. Like, he was just in Fargo, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe he hadn't been in Fargo yet. I don't know. But as far as the entertainment industry knew, he was on the rise. But he was in Reservoir Dogs. I don't know if anybody saw that at that time.
Well, I mean, that had been several years.
Yeah. Oh, Pam Grier, who was just in Jackie Brown, right? So she was getting her career restarted again. So it was like, oh, let's put her in the movie.
He does. He's in a ton of things. He's in Hudsucker Proxy in 94, Airheads in 94, Pulp Fiction. He's in Pulp Fiction? Oh, Buddy Holly later. Yeah, so he officially starts to really pop in 94. 95, he does Billy Madison, Desperado. 96 is Fargo, Escape from L.A. 97's Con Air. 98, Big Lebowski, Wedding Singer, Armageddon. Anyway, yeah.
So you got Buscemi, you got Grier. These are people that are hot. And that's why he's putting them in the movie.
Okay, but the Pam Grier part, like, that has not aged well.
No, not at all. But also, it's not like they're cruel about it necessarily.
I'm talking about them dubbing over Pam Grier's voice. That was a little fucked up.
Yeah, that is fucked up.
I mean, it was used for
why'd they
comedic
have to do
effect.
that?
For comedic effect.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's gonna laugh their asses off.
Well, it was still comedy back then, What are you going to do?
Nothing, because this is just an object of the time. Did you see that Robert Carradine is in this? Who I don't really know, but he's David Carradine's brother.
Is he the guy that steals his jacket?
I don't know.
Or is he the guy that calls him shit heel?
Yeah. So it's been 2 months since I watched this. I cannot remember what he does in the middle part of this movie.
Okay, so he gets to L.A. He meets Peter Fonda, who's a surfer. He finds Cuervo Jones, mixes it up with his bikers, escapes that, meets Eddie. Oh, who says you shouldn't get around without one of my maps because it's dangerous. He goes to Beverly Hills anyways, gets taken hostage by the Surgeon General's people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we get to meet. This is one of the great. I love this thing about how like everybody in Beverly Hills is had so much work done, and now they have to like kidnap people and take body parts. And Bruce Campbell, of course, plays a heavily plastic surgeried Surgeon General,
And he was great.
and that's great. That's a fun little part. But Snake gets out of that. He meets the girl there, and she's not much. Like, she comes with him, but she just ends up getting shot and killed. So there's not much to her.
No.
I really don't know what her purpose was. But she is, again, much like the girl he met at the coffee shop in Escape from L.A., or in Escape from New York, who gets taken and killed as well. So that's all it was.
Yeah.
It was just another beat for beat thing. He gets out of that situation, and he runs into Eddie again, who then finds out Eddie's working for Cuervo Jones. So
Yes.
he shoots him, knocks him out. And then now Snake is a prisoner of Cuervo Jones. Cuervo Jones now has the black box. They realize what's in the black box. He talks to the president over like a Zoom and shuts down his hometown of Lynchburg with the electromagnetic pulse. That's what the black box was. It's a satellite system that can shut down the world. So he does that to show he's serious, and then he makes Snake play basketball for his life.
Which...
Yeah.
Because Snake is really good at basketball.
Yeah, he's great. He made a half-court shot. That was pretty good. Or he made like a full-court shot. It was amazing.
It was stupid, yeah.
People love basketball, though. People love basketball in the 90s. You know? It was huge to put that in a movie.
It was.
I think, so now I'm a little fuzzy, but he runs into Carjack, his old friend, who's now Pam Grier, had a sex change. They find out that Cuervo's going to Happy Land, which is like Disneyland, I believe, for like a final confrontation. And they take hang gliders. Eddie, Steve Buscemi's character, is like, he double crosses him, but then he like triple crosses him or something. I don't know. Or he's forced into servitude by Carjack.
It was hard to tell
Yeah.
what side he was ever on.
Exactly.
And the agreement, they're all working with Snake because Snake promises to get them all out. He's just throwing that promise out willy-nilly.
But the girl that he meets, the Italian one, possibly not Italian. I don't know what everything was. When they're at, when they get captured by Bruce Campbell and stuff.
Yeah.
She says that's the prison out there, like in that fascist right-wing world. Like, we're free here. I know it's not much, but at least we're free here. So that is interesting to me that everybody just wants to leave. For what? To be part of Pat Robertson's America? Like, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to run for my life every day and try to find food and shelter like everybody in LA seems to do either. So I don't know what's best.
There is no good.
And now at the very beginning, when Stacy Keach is giving him his orders, he says, we put that virus into you because you're going to turn tail. Or maybe this is Escape from New York. Yeah. Van Cleef tells him, and just think that when you get in that hang glider and you're going to just fly to Canada, well, we put these things in you that, we can kill you if you don't help us or whatever. So it made me think that, like, this is just America. The rest of the world may be more sane, especially Canada.
And, like, you just got to think that they are putting bombs in everyone's necks all the time. Do this or we're going to kill you.
They got that technology. Yeah. It seems like they should.
Why waste it? And so, like, we get to the end, the climax.
Doesn't it all come to a head in that big battle at at Disneyland, and then they're able to take the helicopter.
Yeah, they take the helicopter,
but everybody dies. Everybody just keeps getting knocked off from one way or another.
But like, how did Jones die? I don't even remember. Which is really an argument that this movie might not be as good as we're remembering.
See, I just got to the part when Snake did the basketball and he steals Cuervo's car. Oh, because Steve Buscemi has the black box, is that why? So he's got to get him.
But he never actually had it, I don't think. He had at what point he swapped it, I don't remember.
You know what? I think it's Pam Grier's voice. I just think they manipulated it to make it sound deeper.
You think?
Yeah, I don't think they dubbed it. Anyway, we may be missing some details, but they definitely have a big shootout in Disneyland, and Snake gets the president's daughter, and the black box.
Yeah.
And he brings it on the helicopter back to the mainland, and that's where he's confronted by Stacy Keach again, and the president's there, Uncle Ben.
Yeah, because like the president's gonna be like, apparently the armies are literally at the borders. He needs to use the super weapon to stop them, and he gets it right out, and there's a double cross where it wasn't that, it was Eddie's tour that he was hearing.
Yeah, it was the Eddie Map of the Stars. So he gave him that one instead. And then Snake shuts down the entire planet.
He shuts down the planet.
The planet. Because he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. He doesn't give a fuck, and he shut the planet down. And what'd he say? Welcome to humanity.
Yeah, something like that. What happens to the daughter? Does she get killed?
So the president's like, oh, you suck. And then he goes and he has her electrocuted. But Snake shuts down the planet just in time for her to not die.
Oh, that's right. And Snake was using his hologram thing.
Yes, the double cross.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
That's the movie,
and
my friends.
This movie did terrible. And there's something to be said about Carpenter shouldn't ever be given a big budget because it always gets a little murkier. Like, he had $50 million for this movie.
Kurt Russell got 10. Carpenter got 5, and Debra Hill got 5. So that was 20. So they had $30 million for the rest of the film. 25 of it went to the actual production. $5 million went to the special effects. But it wasn't enough for everything he wanted. When they show like the matte paintings, see, that's the problem. They could have done just matte paintings. L.A. is an island in the background, just so it looks like an apocalypse, you know? But they didn't. They clearly CGI'd it. And that's why it doesn't look that good. I think if you had just had a painter do it the old-fashioned way, it probably would have looked great.
It says Marvel did a one-shot in 97 that kind of talked about his famous Cleveland escape. Mentioned in Escape from L.A. Something happened in Cleveland, man.
That's all you need to know. I know more about Snake Plissken than I want to know. That's the thing. I just want to know that he's the guy they call to do the impossible mission.
Yeah.
I don't need to know where he goes after this is done.
Impossible mission. Nobody knows, and nobody will ever know.
They could do it, though.
Yeah, they could.
Somebody could all of a sudden say, we're making a new Escape from film. And Kurt Russell would jump at it. I think everybody would get involved again. Why not? Everybody's doing it nowadays. All we do is make movies 30 years beyond when we should have.
Yeah. So anyway, that kind of wraps up this episode.
Yeah,
really appreciate everyone listening.
So what do we say to our listeners here? Like, check this movie out. I mean, I guess that's what we're always saying whenever we watch a movie, but sometimes every once in a while we're like, don't even bother.
Yeah, this is a check it out.
If you wanted something a little more fun, I think you'll like this one more than Escape from New York.
This is like trying to do Evil Dead 2, but it ends up being kind of just equal to Evil Dead 1.
I don't know. I think it's right up there, honestly.
Yeah?
I think it's just as a classic as Evil Dead 2 is.
But it's definitely a movie that you should check out.
Check it out.
Check it out. And thanks for letting us ramble on about nonsense. With that being said, we appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.